Hey everybody, I wanted to check in and let you know how things are going with the outreach in Annapolis, and also about opportunity that you have to be able to share the gospel with the people in your life. First of all, last Saturday I went out. It was a beautiful day in Annapolis. Lots of people were around, and I was looking forward to having a conversation. And even before I really got started, as I was setting up my camera equipment, a guy came up to me and asked me if I was a photographer. This actually often happens. It's a good way to get into a conversation. I said, no, I'm sort of an amateur photographer, but I come down here and talk to people about what they believe, and if they give me an opportunity, I get to share with them what I believe. So I was talking with this guy. His name is Hairston, and he's in the military. He's normally based in Okinawa, Japan, but he was here for a few months staying at Fort Meade, taking a photography class, so he was down in Annapolis learning more how to use his camera, and he said it was really cool what I was doing. And he said one thing that stuck out to me was he was really missing the Christian fellowship that he enjoyed among the soldiers and families at his church in Okinawa. And it just impressed upon me, when you're in a situation where you really depend upon people and you're with one another all the time, it's really special. And sometimes here in America, our lives are very compartmentalized, and we're so busy that we don't often make time for Christian fellowship. And here was a man serving our country and away from his fellow soldiers in Japan, and he expressed to me how much he missed them. So that was really encouraging to me, and it impressed upon me how important Christian fellowship is. And then a little bit later, I was walking and I met a young couple, and I said, hey, can I interview you and ask you some questions about what you believe? And they didn't want to be interviewed on camera, and sometimes people don't want to, and that is totally fine. And I said, well, can I ask you some questions anyway? And he says, well, I'm an atheist. And I said, oh, that's great. I'd love to talk with you and hear more about that. So we talked, and he said it was kind of far-fetched for him to imagine a creator God who made everything. And he talked about the problem of evil, which is, if God is good, then how come there is evil in this world? And when I asked his girlfriend sitting there, she also kind of expressed similar ideas about God, that it was kind of hard for her to believe that God made everything. And my response was, well, I think you really have two options when you think about a creator. Either everything that we experience, our lives, our relationships, they're all a result of random chance, and in the end there's really ultimately no meaning. No one really is going to remember even the conversation that we're having. Or there is a wise God who created everything, and even though there is evil in this world, it's our fault as humans who sinned, and yet we can trust a God who has a good plan and who can turn good out of bad. I said, out of those two options, it's more plausible, it makes more sense to me that there is a wise God, and that's what I've been convinced of. And they thought that made sense, and that got the conversation going. We talked about sin and righteousness and judgment, as it says in the book of John, and it was really encouraging to see these two young people interacting with the gospel and interacting with my questions and interacting with my answers that I gave them, that even though they weren't fully convinced of what I was sharing with them, it made sense to them. And that brings me to the last thing I want to talk about in the short video, is a conference, a workshop coming up in Annapolis next weekend, January 24th and 25th. It's called Gospel Fluency. And as I understand it, the purpose of the workshop is to equip Christians to better communicate the gospel with their friends, with their family members. And I'll tell you that even though I'm a pastor and I share my faith regularly, I'm looking forward to this conference so that I can get better at talking with people. It was a thrill for me to talk with this young man and young woman about the gospel, and even though they weren't Christians, they were able to understand it on an intellectual level, and I could even tell that it was reaching into their heart level, that they were really thinking about their lives and their beliefs and the implications of those. So I want to encourage you to attend this conference, this workshop. with me. It's at Bay Area Community Church in Annapolis, not too far from here. If we get more than 6 people, we have the group rate. So if you want to come, please reach out to me. I'll put the link and the info in the info part of this video. And I encourage you to come. And if you have any questions about it, I'd be happy to try to answer those. But thank you for your prayers. Pray for this young man, Hairston, who I talked with while he's here for a few months before he goes back to Japan. And pray for this young couple. The man's name is Gage, this young man, and the young woman is Nina. And it was a pleasure to talk with them. And we'll see what's happening next with outreach. But this weekend the weather's supposed to be pretty rough up in Annapolis, so probably not going to go down this weekend. But keep me in your prayers, keep this outreach in your prayers, and I'm praying for you that you will take advantage of the opportunities that God brings your way. All right, have a good day.